Hey everybody, welcome to Action to Go Go. We have Troy Jeffrey Allen, the curator of Afrofutures, with us, the magazine that's coming
Yes,
out soon. Yep, Kickstarter is
sir.
live on the Kickstarter's live right now, excuse me, but last I checked, you were already like what, 90% to your goal?
Yeah, we definitely crossed it. Like we are fully funded right now, which is
Oh,
yeah, right, which is nice.
awesome.
Uh
Never mind, we can wrap it up.
no, yeah, I mean, well, here's my thing is like, my whole thing is like I want more backers. I want more people to
Oh,
jump on this thing and like experience it because like it's meant to be an experience, you know what I mean? And uh yeah, we can talk more about that. But yeah, Afrofutures is a magazine, which is a name I cribbed from the Judge Dredd comics because they also have a magazine, right?
nice.
Um, and like and like a lot of that stuff is baked into its DNA, right? Like there's a little bit of Tales from the Crypt in there. There's definitely a lot of Heavy Metal magazine in there. There's a little bit of Mad magazine in there as well, you know. And so I'm just trying to give people this kind of like almost truthfully like throwback experience to how I used to experience comics. You know what I mean? And where you really did get a lot of story for your dollar. You know what I mean? And you got a lot of weird, crazy shit on top of that you got to read and got to obsess over and revisit and amazing artwork. That's the other part of it. It's like a certain level of artwork that just captivates you. That's what we're going for.
That's perfect. So that sort of takes care of my first question, sort of where it came from. But I mean, anybody who knows Action Go Go knows who you are. But just give yourself a quick introduction too, just in case anybody new's coming to the video
Oh, yeah,
for
yeah,
the
yeah.
project.
Okay, so I was once upon a time the managing editor of Action to Go Go with this guy, Derek Stratzella, for 10 years.
Yeah, yeah, we were
Yeah.
working on it for a long time. I mean, still alive, obviously. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, you did incredible contributions. So right off the jump, this is totally biased. This is basically payola, except I paid you with the Kickstarter. I supported this.
It's true.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
super glad to see how far this has come, and I mean, it's a really amazing idea, man. You mentioned heavy metal. Obviously, that's a great comparison. What you're
Mhm.
doing here in terms of, let me see if I can get it on screen, just so people know what we're talking about. Um,
Mhm.
there's just so much going on here, and you've got so many different creators, and it's curated. The story itself is curated by a AI powered robot. Is that it?
Yeah. Yeah. It's an AI. It's AI named AI DJ named 808. And I've been very much in these hip hop spaces the last couple of years. And I've been able to write like at least three notable comics um, about actual hip hop artists. And so I wanted to kind of like continue to make my bed in that by introducing like a new element. And like, so I wanted to embrace the hip hop culture with her design and her outlook, right?
Yeah.
And so her name is 808 after the drum machine that a lot of musicians use. And she basically wakes up one day from her museum of wonders and finds out, oh wait, the humans left. Like, where are the humans? Right. And so she becomes our sort of our guide through the rest of the magazine. And she has little off adventures as well in the wasteland, if you want to call it that, or the gutters, actually.
Yeah, you got to have your wasteland in there whenever you talk about
Yeah.
the future.
Hmm.
Well, it's a great design, and some of the stuff you've been promoting it with great music as well as animation. Who helped you with
Hmm.
the animated parts of this?
That is a combination of John Holmes, who has worked with Action to Go on some stuff in the
Yep,
past.
yep. He did
He
our
designed
electric
the logo.
logo. Yep,
Yeah, he did the logo, right?
yep. Well, the electric logo that we get.
Yeah,
He
the anime
animated that for us, and I love using that to intro the videos, of course.
logo. And John, John, and also the other animation is by a guy named Justin Fennell, who you may remember. He was a kid who used to come into the comic shop all the time
Yeah, he's right
when
here, right?
we were working there. Yeah.
There he is.
Mhm. But years later, like I bumped into him. I told him what I was trying to do. He said he's been doing animation.
That's awesome.
So we pick on that as well.
Yeah, I remember he was just a kid running around the comic shop talking about getting
Right.
into business and everything. That's awesome. And here's John Holmes. You can barely see him,
John Holmes.
our buddy.
Right.
So this is, I mean, you've got a lot of people involved in this, right? Like, obviously, I've known about your work before. That was more you working with an artist, you promoting it, but this is like a whole cavalcade of people here.
Right. Yeah.
What were the challenges of bringing this to where you've gotten?
I mean, I kind of had to just trust the process on a lot of this stuff.
Mhm.
And that's been a very valuable lesson. I gotta be real with you, man. I went into this sort of going like, okay, I know what I want to do, but I want to invite other creators, other Black creators to be part of this as well, right? And so I made sure that I gave them room to just explore whatever idea they had. You know what I mean? And that's from the writers to also the artists, because once you give it to the artist, it's going to be reinterpreted in its own way anyway, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Um, I really just wanted to kind of like, employ this attitude of like, we're just going to create some stuff. We're just going to create some cool shit. Like, let's see what comes out of this. You know what I mean? And it was just like the perfect storm of like people, everyone had a great temperament. Everybody's been like really just happy and excited to be part of this. And yeah, I've been really lucky to deal with no drama on this thing for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
No, that's great. I mean, I was talking to a director recently, and it's crazy how like any workplace, like one bad apple can spoil the bunch and just make it
right,
miserable for everybody. So it's great to know that this was a smooth process.
right.
And how many projects are yours on this in terms of comic book stories?
So the stories I have are um, the Secret Files of Josephine Baker,
Okay,
which is like my Batman the Animated Series slash Alfred Hitchcock spy story, right?
it's great. Yeah.
Um, there is the Space Marine Cookbook, which is a shorter one.
Okay.
And that's being done by an artist named Chris Scott. Josephine Baker is being done by an artist by the name of Johnny C. Edwards or Jonathan Edwards. And the big one, the feature comic in this is the comic All Negro Squad, which is like a very much a play on black exploitation tropes, but also a callback to a forgotten piece of comic book history, which is the comic book All Negro Comics #1 from 1947, which was created by an all black all black talent pool. So it was really ahead of its time, and like I had to acknowledge that since we're trying to do something similar, I had to acknowledge that as well.
Excellent. Excellent.
Mm.
Cool. And what, I mean, I'm sure you're excited for all the contributions that are coming here, but does anything in particular stand out to you that you're very eager to show, or you're proud of the whole thing, or you just want people to see your stuff? And
No, I mean, like it really is about the collective experience, right? Like I really am approaching this as a mixtape or a concept album, right? And so 808 is the thread that weaves through all these things to get us from story to story, right? And because of that, music is also the thread that gets us from story to story. Like that's the overarching theme of this magazine. And so uh yeah, every story just every story I've seen artwork for, and I'm just sort of like, man, this is going to be really cool. Um, I am very curious. Actually, you know what? I will say this. I'm very curious about the 808 origin story that's going to open the comic. And actually, that's the fourth comic I wrote. I just realized that. That's the fourth comic I wrote. An artist by the name of Mervyn McCoy designed and created 808 with me, and his wife Nikki McCoy, who did a bunch of design work on her as well. So she really was assembled like an assembly line droid, like you know what I mean, in a lot of ways. And uh, the intro comic, I've seen some stuff. There's some artwork on the Kickstarter right now from that comic. Um, but I got to tell you, and I know you love Jeff Darrow. He's doing like that type of detail.
awesome. Awesome. Yeah, you said the
Yeah, like
magic
scroll
word.
down. Yeah, scroll down. Where is? Oh, not rewards. I'm sorry. Scroll up. Scroll up. My bad.
Well, I just wanted to stop here. I love this image, man. I love this
Oh,
character. I
yeah.
love what you're doing with it. That's what makes me really excited to read it. But
Yeah, this ACO was a huge get. Um, a completely a beloved artist who I feel like is way too undervalued in comics. There it is. That's the 808 one.
okay.
So that's one of the pages he's got me. I've got another page that I haven't seen, I haven't even shown people just because I'm looking at it upside down, sideways, left. You know what I mean? I'm trying to figure out like he's just really doing some crazy perspective stuff, you know? Like
Oh,
he's a big Frank Quitely fan.
nice.
He's also a big fan of Kevin McGuire. So yeah, he's really trying to do something really creative with these pages.
That's awesome. That looks amazing. Again, you're saying all the magic words for me, man. Huge Frank
Yeah.
Wiley fan. I love this piece of promotional art. Um,
Yeah.
Bliss,
Oh, that's the cover.
this is the cover. Okay. Does he have any
This is
featured art?
one of three covers.
I'm sorry.
Uh, I'm sorry, what were you saying about Bliss?
Any other work by Bliss in the work, or is he just handling the cover?
Bliss is also doing the story Telephone, which is
Okay.
also on the Kickstarter page. Yeah, like I've been telling everybody who will listen about this. I really don't like the thing where you buy a comic and it's got, like Alex Ross on the cover and Joe Schmo, stick figures on the interior. I really don't like that. So I've really gone out of my way to make sure that if you're doing the cover, you're doing the interior.
That's fantastic. I mean, I just can't stop looking at this image, man. It's vibrant. It's
Oh yeah.
colorful. It's just fantastic, man. So
Mhm.
much good stuff going on in here.
Mhm.
Awesome. Well, anything else? Um, gosh, I'm sort of struggling what to think about next. But we talk about stuff going on in the environment. There's a lot of culture war stuff going on. People are
Yeah.
complaining about Star Wars and Marvel and everything else left and right.
Mhm.
What are you hoping people take away from this, or what are you trying to avoid with this in terms of how
Um,
people may perceive it?
I mean, that's a good question. That's a great question. Um, I mean, in terms of what I'm trying to um impact here is like, indie curator did good, did a good thing, right? And made a really indie thing with all his friends, right? And it ends up being like something that is unique and it's colorful and it's something that people hopefully will really enjoy and it's cultural. And I think that all those things are very important to me when it comes to storytelling. That said, the things I try to avoid these days is a lot of the man, there's a lot of elements there. You know what I mean? Like there really are. I I try to avoid reappropriating characters that already exist, right?
Hmm.
And that's to me, I've never really worked on a superhero comic until All Negro Squad. I've never done a superhero comic, and um, it's important to me that like we prop up the characters of the past that were the groundbreaking characters that got us to this point, right?
Yeah.
And not just color swap white characters, right, with a black character to make that point. You know, I think there is a real problem, and we've seen this. Like, Marvel should out press release and say so and so is the first black creator to ever do this, and then the fans, these people who've been reading these comics for 20, 30 years, like, right, have long boxes upon long boxes, are telling Marvel like, no, that's not true. Like respect the history of these things. That's my big takeaway. It's like you have to respect the history of these things. I don't care if it's Star Wars, which I know Star Wars is going through it right now because they've retcon, I guess, on Acolyte. I don't know. I haven't been paying attention to it, but that's what I gather, right? Um, but you know, but also like a lot of that stuff is just brain rot too. You know?
No, I agree. I mean, I think I was going to do a video about Star Wars eventually and the Acolyte in
Mhm.
particular, but two things I keyed on there that you said independent. I think
Mhm.
we don't celebrate independent creators enough and original ideas enough. And to your point about, just to take Marvel as an example, when these marketing teams, start saying, "Oh, this is the first Black person to do X, Y, Z," or any, fill in the blank, right? It does sting,
Mhm.
right? As
Mhm.
as a fan community, as people who know the history, you want to celebrate what came before, not forget it and pretend it didn't happen, or they maybe they legitimately didn't pay attention. Like a lot of these people get into these companies.
I think they just legitimately didn't pay attention, to be honest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But that causes so much consternation, and I mean, people with much larger platforms than mine make careers out of just complaining about every episode of Star Wars,
Right.
whatever comes out. And I've got my own opinions about it that I'll share, but there's not enough of what you're doing, right? New
Mhm.
characters, new stories, new exploration. It's so much. There's so much focus on. I'm just going to pull a name out of a hat, Superman, and whether he's
Mhm.
black or white, right? No, let's not worry about that, and let's do something new, right? Because
Right.
you know, um, we've talked about this personally, but like when I see my daughter get fascinated with manga, I'm sitting here wondering why, and I'm like, oh, well, it's new. It's
Yeah.
legitimately new. Like Demon
Mhm.
Slayer is a legitimately new thing. My
Yeah,
Hero
right.
Academia, you're looking at new characters,
Mhm.
and these big corporations that own these properties now. I mean, some of them always been corporations, let's be honest, but
Yeah.
they're just repackaging everything, and along the way, we're sort of forgetting why we're doing this in the first place, right?
First place, right. You're so right about that. Along the way, we're like, why are we doing this? Like I just saw someone's remaking oh god. Why I was just talking to somebody about this. I don't know, but I can't remember the movie. But there's like some weird remake that's in the works right now, right? There always is, right? And I just kind of sometimes look around, I'm like, man, Hollywood's kind of lost the plot, haven't they? Like, man, you look back on movies like 20, 30 years ago. You know what's funny, man? I've never liked the movie Independence Day. All right.
Okay, okay.
I think it's just goofy, you know. And I've never been I see why it's entertaining. I get why it's entertaining. There's just a bunch of other movies I'd rather watch, right? It's also I also watching that movie, I realized I was like, man, this is a little bit of Alien and the Thing and Top Gun and like, it's like a little bit of all sorts of stuff like kind of thrown in that mix.
I mean,
Um,
I've always loved independent. This is news to me. I never knew you didn't like Independence Day, but now I want to go back and watch it and check it out. But I'm sorry. Finish your point. Finish your point.
well, no, my point was just that like I saw it recently just on regular TV, and I sat there and watched it, and I was like, man, this is how you make movies.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like I just don't really get the 2.5 hour, you know, soft sci-fi, epic, right?
yeah.
That every movie gets. When some of these movies, and with movies in the past, like were super efficient at 2 hours, and it was like they were a distraction, and that was okay. Now they're like, I don't know. I feel like the fan culture treats it like the most important thing in the world, right? Which it should not be. But then the other part of it is the corporations like really uh, fed us that mentality.
Mm,
Like all that, like nerd geek chic, like the nerds are cool now era and all that stuff. Like that really was kind of like selling you on a personality that really is a corporate mouthpiece.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I vividly remember, just to use, I mean, Independence Day as a microcosm, right? I remember
Mhm.
the run up for that movie being so huge. They were on the cover of
Right.
Time magazine back when Time magazine really mattered. Oprah was interviewing the cast. That's when,
Right.
God, she was just Lord of the Rings, I guess, or however you want to put it, the master of ceremonies on television, right? She was so
Right.
huge. She still
Right.
is, of course. But you're right, and it's like the mechanism for at that level, the mechanism for building new properties and supporting new properties, and is like broken, and it's so
It
broken,
is.
and it's a shame because you know you can say what you want about Independence Day. I remember people
Mhm.
getting up and clapping in the theater, and I'm amazed it took them so long to make some sort of sequel to it.
Mhm.
now you probably would have been guaranteed a sequel at a certain point. But yeah, I mean, the ecosystem's changed so much, and I think we sort of grew up in a golden era of at least pop culture
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
movies where,
Mhm.
like Quentin Tarantino is doing interesting things, Robert Rodriguez is doing interesting things, David Fincher. And there's all sorts of
Yeah.
other stuff going on in the 90s, even into the early 2000s. I think
Yeah.
things started to trail off a bit. But yeah, things are so different, and it's such a shame that they sort of can't figure it out. Like now, again, just to go back, now we have Disney beating Star Wars like it's a dead horse, and all they seem to
Yeah.
manage to do is piss everybody off. You know,
Mhm. Right.
spoiler.
Yeah.
I've kept pace with the Acolyte just because I can't stop hearing about it. It's almost like Schadenfreude at this point. And yeah, I
Mhm.
see I see why people are upset. Like
Mhm.
as good as the show is at times,
Mhm.
I'm just sitting here like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. Wait a minute, that what's going on here? Wait a minute, that's not supposed to be. I mean, and you can argue that fans pay attention or care maybe too much at times, but at the
Right.
same
Yeah.
time, we're the
They're
people
still
paying
the
for it.
fans.
Yeah,
Right. They're still the fans.
we're supposed to be the ones you're making happy, and instead,
Right.
you've got the studios have their own accusations that seem to make their way into the ecosystem and whatnot.
Right.
But
Right.
but yeah, but
Yeah.
that's why, just we precious few minutes left here. But again, that's why I love supporting independent media, and I'm so glad to see this, come true for you. I mean, you hit your Kickstarter goal. Congratulations, man. That's awesome. And
Thanks.
I guess long term, now that you've got through this first step, as again,
Mhm.
you're sort of in a different ball game than me. How are you thinking about this? Do you want to make this a regular thing? Is this just an achievement? And okay, it's out in the world. Now we can move on to the next project. Or how are you looking at it
I
that
mean,
way?
I think we'll see. We'll have to see. Like, I mean, clear the goal, which is nice, but we're not at a point where it justifies me doing this repeatedly.
Mhm.
Like I have thought about maybe this is something I can reproduce annually, but it did take me nearly 3 years just to do this one.
Jesus.
Like,
Wow.
I mean, the production took actual production took a year,
Wow.
but like there was a lot of pre-planning before this, like around the pandemic. So, um, yeah, like we'll see. We'll have to see. Like it'll be nice to reproduce this. There are definitely elements of these characters that I would love to play with again in the future. So yeah, we shall see.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Wish me luck, guys.
Yeah, well, I'm there with you. I mean, again, we've known each other a long time. You've been talking about Josephine Baker, that story for a while.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
want to say at least 5 years I've heard you talk about it. So it's great to see it become real. It's always great to see it become real, especially in this vivid, bodacious color.
Right.
I'm really excited. I mean, and we're friends, so I'm not just trying to be nice. I'm really excited to see this, and wish you nothing but the best, and all the creators as well. I mean, I strongly encourage, just to sort of do an outro here. I strongly encourage every viewer to check it out. Um, Follow. Why don't you give us your socials, Troy, just so people know
Yeah.
where to find you and all that good stuff.
Yeah, it's at TJA Comics. You can pretty much find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And I don't think I'm really on anything else outside of that. Yeah, if you want to check out our website, Rexco, REXCO hyphen comics.com. Rexco is the company, one of the two publishing companies responsible for Afrofutures. So
Awesome, fantastic, and you're also on Previews World.
I'm also in Previews World. I got a few life events coming up soon, so that might not you might not see a lot of me over there. But at the same time, yeah, like you can also catch me at Previews World, and you can catch Derek actually on Previews World because I don't know if you saw your comments about the boys ended up on our Instagram. It got clipped out.
Oh, did it? Awesome, cool. I gotta hunt that
I thought
down.
it was- I thought it was-
Yeah, if you need me to sub in again, just say the word. That was a lot of fun. Got to I don't have the
Good.
comic in front of me. I put it away. Got to talk about the boys. I'm
Mhm.
catching the show as we speak. Really enjoying it. Um, got a couple of criticism for it always, but let's put a pin in it. We're gonna have the outro after this. Everybody, please go to the Afrofutures Kickstarter. Hop on the train while you can. Support independent media. Support good media. And
Absolutely.
thanks everybody. This is Derek Scarzella. Thank you so much for watching this video. Just doing a quick outro. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Above all, we want to hear what you have to say about this video, this movie, what it meant to you. Also, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, of course, YouTube. Check out our website, actionagogo.com. And of course, you can check out my own novels, Knuckle Crackbone, as well as The Vicious Game. Links are all down below. We also have a merch store if you want to enjoy our glorious Action A Go Go electric logo, which is going to come right after this. And of course, again, thank you so much for watching. It's super appreciated. Hope you had a good time. I know we did.